It's Wojciech from Brains and Beards, and yeah, hello again. Today I would like to talk to you a bit about an anti-pattern that I saw in like multiple React Native applications, and it's also a pet peeve of mine, so I would like to eradicate it from anywhere that's possible. And yeah, of course we're gonna also talk about what you should do instead, because that's what we do here on this channel. We provide actionable tips how to build great mobile applications faster and better, because better is faster, all things being equal. And anyway, so the pattern I wanted to talk about is when you're trying to separate your styles from your JSX, from your component code. And if you want an example, and this is how far, like you can see, we're outside, because I feel we don't need any keyboards or screens for this episode. And yeah, you just have to imagine a component right now. So you're building a button, and you would, on one hand, you could create a button.tsx and put everything there. On the other hand, you could split it, and you could have a button.tsx file where you have just the functionality and the JSX code. Separately, you could have a styles.ts where you keep the styles for the button, like, I don't know, flex, margins, padding, stuff like the background colors. And you would put it, because those are two files, and you would like to group them together, so you would put them in the folder. But you would also add an index.ts to make sure it's easy to import them. You don't have to do something /button/button. So yeah, you have two ways of doing things. One includes 3 files in the folder, and the second includes just a simple file. Me, personally, I'm in the single file camp, and yeah, today I would like to talk to you about why everybody should be in the single file camp. But we're gonna talk about it in a nicer spot, because still a bit too much concrete here. And let's move to the proper woods. So here we are. It's not middle of the woods. We're close to a road, but it's still much nicer. Let's talk about our React Native patterns. So we have the one file and we have the multiple files, and one obvious advantage of a one file approach is you have less files. Less files is not about the disk space that you're taking, because that's irrelevant. It's more about the comfort of working with it on the daily basis. So you're working with your text editor, and you do use your fuzzy search, and you're looking for the button instead of 3 results popping up, and you have to pick which file you're gonna open. You have one file that opens. Also, when you're making visual changes and you're touching the styles, you can see easily with a glance how is the code used and what the styles are. I find it more convenient to work with component structure together in a single file. Of course, not everybody is like me, fortunately. There is one single reason why it's objectively better to put the styles in a single file, because whatever your preference is, there is one thing that the single file approach gives you that with multiple files you will not get. So what happens when you refactor your component and you stop using a style, but you don't delete the style itself? So obviously it happens to all the time. Like, you're not able to track well, I'm not able to keep track of all the lines of code that I deleted, because I like deleting code. And my favorite PRs are where there's more lines removed than added. But yeah, it happens to everybody that they stop using a style and they forget to remove it from the style shift. And of course, every such unused style is a waste. It's a waste of JavaScript that you put in the bundle that your users will have to download from the App Store. It's a waste of time parsing the JavaScript. But the biggest waste is developer time, because somebody else on your team, or just yourself, like a few months from now, you will open the style sheet and you're like, I didn't know this button has a style like this. And you're wondering, like, is it on purpose that this is not used, or should it be used? What's going on here? And the situation is much clearer if you just remove everything straight away. Obviously, we're like programmers, and we like to automate stuff. Nobody's gonna do it by hand. So we have ESLint that has a rule to track down unused styles. But this rule only works if your style is is defined locally within the file where your component is. Because the moment you extract this style outside to a separate file, you would have to export it. And then ESLint is not able to statically track where this particular style is used once you exported it. It assumes you exported this for a reason, because you want to use it somewhere. However, if this style is just a local variable in your file, the same as the component, and you're not exporting it everywhere, within the context of this single file, ESLint can tell you with 100% certainty, well, not 100%, it's programming, it's never 100% certainty, but in most of the cases it will be right when it checks whether you use the style or not, because it can track, like, okay, you have this variable, which properties of this object do you track, and do you access or you don't. So yeah, I think that's the clear feature for me, that detecting unused styles, and this is what really bothers me about the approach when you're trying to separate them. But now you might ask yourself a question, like, why, if a single file approach is so obviously better? I'm a bit joking here, but it is better. Why do people split it? Well, I think the reason is historical, but I will not get into it. I will not get sidetracked into my thoughts on the ancient history of programming. Instead, I will suggest that you go and listen to a podcast where I expand on it a little bit, or our blog post where I also talk about this. And yeah, I'm trying to keep those videos shorter because they are much more absorbing to the listener, and hopefully it works. Anyway, I'm off. Have a nice day and happy hacking.